King's News Broom at 1. I'm Stephen Compton. First, the headlines. Information Minister Jeremy Pia warns citizens against ungodly acts and alcohol drinking during today's National Fast and Prayer Day. He says the day must be used to reflect and pray for the nation. Several tricyclists and motorcyclists across Monserrado County backed protests of dozens of commercial drivers against alleged police unnecessary ticketing and government 25 years deal with the Liberia Traffic Management. Motorcyclist and Tricyclist Union Chairperson Ansu Cized accuses police officers of harassment. Authorities of Guinea reported banished scores of Liberians for alleged refusal to accept Guinean citizenship. In away from home U.S. singer, Ciara has become one of the first public figures to be granted citizenship to Benin under a new law offering nationality to the descendants of slaves. Police in Angola say 4 people have been killed and 500 have been arrested after demonstration in the nation's capital. Details of these developments, the news bulletin, and the voices of the news makers are all packaged. We are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you the full bulletin of news. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Now, up next is the Bulletin of News with Sam Andrews.
Information Minister Jeremy Pia has warned Liberians against alcohol drinking on today, Wednesday, July 30th, the day declared as National Fast and Prayer by Joseph Yomabwarkai. Addressing media briefing Tuesday, Minister Pia noted that the president's declared national holiday should not be used to party or do ungodly things, but rather be used to reflect and pray for the nation. According to him, the day was set aside for national prayer, emphasizing that all businesses, government, and private institutions should be shut down to all citizens, reminding their respective communities to observe the fast and prayer. Minister Pia accession followed a proclamation issued by President Borka on Monday declaring today, Wednesday, National Fast and Prayer Day to be observed as national holiday. The National Motorcyclists and Tricyclists Union of Liberia has sharply condemned what it described as ongoing harassment of riders by officers of the Liberia National Police. Reading the press statement on Tuesday, Motorcyclists and Tricyclists Union Chairperson Ansu Zeze cited excessive ticketing and enforcement of no-go zones as unjust and economically harmful to both motorcyclists and tricyclists who are immensely contributing to the country's economy. Mr. Zeze noted that motorcyclists and tricyclists will stage a week-long protest if the government fails to address their concerns. The chairperson of the Motorcyclists and Tricyclists Union also demanded the Inspector General, Gregory Coleman, cancel all no-go zone places on both motorbike and tricyclists within Monserrado or face unspecified action. Following months of silence over his suspension from government, former Commissioner General of Liberia Immigration Service has blamed the Minister of Local Government and the National Security Advisor to the President for his indefinite suspension and subsequent removal. Former LIS boards was announced suspended by the Executive Mansion for 3 months, but have since been replaced with later. Speaking on a local radio in Vonjima, Lofa County, Steve Zago said he is tired of being used as a sacrificial lamb under the doctrine of tradition, which calls for nephews to unconditionally and unquestionably respect their uncles. According to the former LIS boss, although his suspension letter did not specify any specific offense or violation he committed, he believes Internal Affairs Minister Francis Yemali and National Security Advisor Samuel Kofi Woods are the mastermind of his removal. The commissioning ceremony of the confirmed Chief Justice Yamik Bese is reportedly scheduled for the 18th or 19th of August at the Executive Mansion. Justice Bese commission ceremony, according to courtroom sources, was previously scheduled for July 23rd, but was abruptly postponed by the Executive Mansion to avoid what it calls constitutional crisis. Our judicial correspondent said following his commissioning ceremony, a special session will be held in the chamber of the Supreme Court of Liberia for the confirmed Chief Justice sitting as head of the judiciary. But before Justice Gbeze's sitting, the outgoing Chief Justice Saninyo will officially close the March term of court on August 15, which will end her 3-year stay as head of the judiciary. Former Deputy Minister of Public Works, Joseph Tor, has criticized government call for a national day of fast and prayer, labeling it as a defection from the urgent political and social issues facing Liberia. In a statement released on his social media page Tuesday, former Minister Tor questioned the sincerity and purpose of the government's spiritual campaign, pointing to what he described as clear signs of misgovernance, systemic justice, and administrative hypocrisy. He challenged the government's use of religious symbolism in the midst of widespread hardship and unrest. Mr. Tor outlined a range of policy decisions on unresolved crises that, in his view, require leadership and accountability, not symbolic rituals. He cited the controversial move to outsource critical functions of the Ministry of Transport to a foreign firm under a 20-year agreement, describing the deal as peanuts and a threat to the livelihood of Liberians. About 230 Liberian citizens from various governments, ministries, and agencies have completed a day-long orientation for jurors service. The 230 Liberian citizens who are referred to as prospective jurors completed the orientation ceremony on Friday, August 24th, and are expected to serve as jurors during the August term of court. During Friday's day-long event, according to our judicial correspondent, they were warned by authority of the Jury Management Office of the Judiciary not to get involved in jury tampering, saying their role is to look at the facts during litigation and determine the matter fairly consistent with law. They were selected from various government ministries and agencies in Montserrat County to serve as prospective jurors for the August term of court. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in collaboration with Liberia Revenue Authority, has disclosed that Liberia has been appointed to the United Nations Committee of Experts on International Cooperation in Tax Matters. A release issued on Tuesday noted that Darlington Tallery, a tax policy specialist, former commissioner for domestic tax at Liberia Revenue Authority, and current head of the Department of Domestic Resource Mobilization at ECOWAS Commission, will represent Liberia on the 25-member committee. According to the release, members appointed by the UN Secretary General for a 4-year term ending on June 30th were selected from 58 global nominations. The release quoted Foreign Minister Sarah Beslow Yanti as saying the inclusion of Liberia in a globally significant committee sends a clear message about the capacity, credibility, and growing influence of Liberia's institutions. The Vice President for Technical Services at the National Oil Company of Liberia said the country needs institutional builders that will build the country and institutions through education and ideas. Rex Basigia emphasized the need for Liberia to invest in its human capital, particularly the young generation, to secure a prosperous future. According to him, the strength of any nation lies in its people, and Liberia is no exception, but urged them to invest in the youth and prepare them to become professionals who will transform the country. Mr. Basigia made the call at programs marking the 16th graduation ceremony of College Foundation Institute in Painesville Tuesday. Also speaking, the chief executive officer of the foundation, Martin Colley, challenged parents to instill moral discipline and values in their children, stressing that character formation begins at home. He noted that children are investments of their parents, and as such, they should not fail to discipline and guide them. Authorities of Guinea have reportedly banished several persons believed to be Liberians from the country over claims of refusing to accept Guinean citizenship. The banished individuals are said to be found across villages and towns in Lofa County. On Tuesday, they told local journalists that although they lived in Guinea for more than 2 decades, they were forced by the country authorities to leave and resettle in Lofa County. One of the returnees, named Emmanuel Johnson, disclosed that several others had been compelled to leave the country after establishing strong roots, including owning farms and businesses. He noted that those being expelled are Liberians who fled to Guinea in 2002 during the country's civil conflict. Mr. Johnson stated that although they were resettled in Guinea in 2007, following support from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, and they were given legal status to live in Guinea, adding that they have been living there peacefully. As the International Maritime Organization prepares for what is believed to be a critical council election in December, Liberia permanent representative to the IMO, Ambassador Rabak Bade, said Liberia needs the support of fellow IMO member states to secure a seat for another 2-year term. In an interview Tuesday, Ambassador Bade reaffirmed Liberia's readiness to retain its seat, highlighting diplomatic achievements, regional leadership, and the strategic role of maritime governance in global trade. He described the country's re-election campaign launch in May as immensely successful, citing robust turnout from member states, ambassadors, and maritime trade stakeholders. The Liberian diplomat said Liberia is the only country currently holding seat in Category A, the top tier of the International Migration Organization Council, which includes world's most influential maritime nations. The country's special representative to the IMO lauded his team's diplomatic outreach for strengthening Liberia's IMO standing, especially regular bilateral engagements and active participation in technical committees, which he said solidify Liberia's reputation as a constructive and credible maritime partner. And the executive director of the National Rehabilitation for Drugs and War Affected Persons has forwarded a couple to West Point Magisterial Court for allegedly giving a dangerous substance identified as kush to a 19-year-old boy, which resulted to his death. Retired Colonel Augustine Nangbe told reporters that through the assistance of the residents, he apprehended the couple, identified as Jerry Colley and Titi Cephas, after they had drugged the victim, identified as Fremont Jala, to a popular ghetto known as Trench Town, located at PHP. According to him, based on his security background, he got a tip off and rushed to the scene and later apprehended the couple. The retired colonel disclosed that 19-year-old boy was undergoing rehabilitation at his center but left to greet his relatives during the July 26 celebration.
Sam Andrews there with the news. Bulletin is a regular feature on King's News Broom. 45 minutes of happenings in Liberia and the rest of our one globe. In one of our top developments, Information Minister Jerry Lemek Pia warns a citizen against ungodly acts and alcohol drinking during today's National Fast and Prayer Day. Says that day must be used to reflect and pray for the nation. We are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you voices of the news makers. Welcome back. And now, with this development, Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Jeremy Pia, has warned Liberians against alcohol drinking on today, Wednesday, July 30, a day declared as National Fasting and Praying Day by President Joseph Boakai. Addressing Mika press briefing on Tuesday, Minister Pia noted that the president's declared national holiday should not be used to party or do ungodly things, but rather be used to reflect and pray for the nation and its people. According to him, the day is set aside for national prayer, emphasizing that all businesses, government, and private institutions will be shut down to all citizens remain in their respective community to observe the national fast and prayer day.
This day should be allowed to serve a purpose. It is not the time for all the beach parties. The big parties all over the place. It is not the time, even though we all are sinners and falling short of the glory and we drink the alcohol and do all the different things. This is not one of the days for massive alcohol consumption. It's a day of reflection. Put our nation to God. To pray. That's why it's the National Day of Prayer. And I would like to read a proclamation by the President. Whereas, from the founding of our nation, through seasons of trial and triumph, God has remained our guide in the souls of our hope. And whereas there have been unusual and extraordinary outbreaks of natural phenomena and man-provoked national crises that have caused much harm, devastation, and destruction in many parts of the world, from which the grace of God has spared our nation. Whereas, with these conditions, I call on all Liberians to submit themselves in humble supplication to the Almighty God for guidance and protection, as well as for peace in their national life and affairs. And as we look to the future, let us embrace forgiveness of ourselves and one another. For it is only through reconciliation that we can fully heal and move forward as one people.
Liberia's Information Minister Jeremy Pia there speaking. The National Motorcyclist and Transcyclist Union of Liberia has sharply condemned what it describes as ongoing harassment, or rather by officers of the Liberia National Police. Read the press statement Tuesday. Motorcyclists and Transcyclists Union Chairperson Ansu Zizi cited excessive ticketing and enforcement of no-go zones are unjust and economically harmful to both the cyclists, who are immensely contributing to the economy of the country. Zizi noted that motorcyclists and transcyclists will stage a week-long peaceful go-slow action if the government fails to address their concerns with immediate effects.
Call with a heavy heart to speak to the media and to the world at large, to tell them what we as organization decide to do beg the government. We from the National KK and Mobile Riders Welfare and Advocates Organization of Liberia and Latino want to say we stand with all KK and Mobile Riders and the Drivers Union of Liberia concerning the constant harassment of traffic police officers using us unfair tickets, issue us fair tickets, serious harassment from the police officer. We want to inform the IG and they retrieve all his officers out of the street in 1 week, or else there will be a serious slow go action that will be taken from the cyclists, and this go for 1 week straight. 1 week. We also want to inform the Justice Ministry, the Liberia National Police, its IG graduate women, and the Liberia House of Legislature to cancel session agreement between the government of Liberia and the Liberia Traffic Management, and return all vehicles and cyclists, return all vehicle and cyclists registration to Transport Ministry MOT. This is our message to the government. Please step in quick and listen to this release. And to the Inspector General of Police, this is a reminder to you to allow cyclists and motorcyclists to return to where we used to go before, meaning cancel the entire no-go zone and allow us to freely move around all parts of the country. This is not an appeal. This is a demand from us to the government, of Liberia, because we are tired of being suppressed in our own country, and we are calling on all ministers of Liberia to take a serious note of this press release.
Following months of silence over his suspension from government, former Commissioner General of the Liberian Immigration Service has blamed the Minister of Local Government and the National Security Advisor to President Boyka for his indefinite suspension and subsequent removal. The former LIS boss was announced suspended by the Executive Mansion for 3, but have since been replaced with little nothing known regarding investigative funding that prompted his removal from the position. Speaking on a local radio station in Virginia, Lofa County, Steve Zyko said he is tired being used as a sacrificial lamb under the doctrine of tradition, which calls for nephew to unconditionally respect their uncles.
There's a misconception at the mansion, and one point around the misconception is confused. When my uncle wins the election, you will suffer. That is Francis Sakula Gimane wrote to me, the guy like Gimane, who thought that Zago should not survive this enrichment. Even while our immigration, he conducted himself in a way and manner that transgress our national security. It's an open secret law for Canada. Anything humanity tells the old man, that's it. Anything we say, humanity tells the old man, it's found out. Humanity attempt to get me out is supported by the kind of confused. In that situation, they had an agreement to fight me. I was unfairly treated. I still support the president. A minister of state who the president informed that after 90 days, we need to have a conversation with Zago. He said, well, after 90 days, no one see anything to me. I think United Party have been so disingenuous. United Party have been so insensitive. United Party have been so unfair to others who have helped them. They feel more entitled. You notice when there's an issue affecting a United Party person in the government, it is resolved easily among themselves. But when you're not United Party person, so quickly an action is taken. My only action was just so quick. I felt that justice was not done to me. I felt I put in too much, sacrificed too much to have the likes of people behave the way they behave. Because there was too much of conspiracy. So they see Jumbo Amon Zago as the formidable foes. My research has shown.
Former LIS boss Steve Zyko there speaking. The Vice President for Technical Services of the National Oil Company of Liberia says the country needs institutional builders that will build the country and institutions through education and ideas. Rex Basigald emphasized the need for Liberia to invest in its human capital, particularly the younger generation, to secure a prosperous future for the nation. According to him, the strength of any country lies in its people, and Liberia is no exception. Urged then to invest in the youth and prepare them to become professionals who will transform the country.
Today has laid the bricks of discipline, curiosity, and commitment to learning. Those bricks are the very materials with which you will build your homes of purpose, your careers to impact you, your livelihood to help your parents, and engage in the many important things out there. Your path from today forward will be shaped by courage, your curiosity, and the choices you make. Our country, Liberia, needs builders, men and women, to build our institutions and build ideas and integrity. Where I work at the National Oil Company of Liberia, we recognize extractive mines and mines of the nation's wealth unless we first invest in developing the potential of many of you. That's why we celebrate the institutions like the Kula Foundation for building your lives and your careers. Stand beside you in this moment of pride, because the real resources, the true wealth of Liberia is gathered here in this room today. To the Kula Foundation and the leadership, I applaud you, Mr. CEO, and your co-workers for building not just a school, but a sanctuary where young Liberians grow into principled leaders. To the parents, young giver, thank you for standing behind these scholars with steadfast love, commitment, and sacrifice. And to all of us gathered here today, let us not be the end of the school year that brings you by. The mission to nurture brilliance should be ours.
Also speaking, Chief Executive Officer of the Collard Foundation, Martin Collard, urged parents to instill moral discipline and value in their children, stressing that character formation begins at home.
You need to be disciplined and listening to your parents. I appreciate you parents for taking up your time in this very difficult time to support your children. It is a challenge that all of us have to make Liberia better. Liberia will never get better if we don't make some efforts and send our children to school and discipline them at a rehabilitation center. And you see young girls, young boys, children, all on drugs. And you know that our population is going down the drain, and the future of our country is hanging in the balance. Until we make some effort to keep our children closer to us, send them to school, keep them under discipline, we ourselves will not have a future, because your children are your investment. We are doing a lot here as a foundation. I'm not the one running the school or the activities here. Who are doing supervision. I want to thank the team, Pastor Wanta and his team, doing what is right to give Liberia a better future.
Martin Collard is the Chief Executive Officer of the Collard Foundation. Earlier, you listened to the Vice President for Technical Services at the Liberia National Oil Company, Rex Bassi Gear. And now we have an hour past the news presentation. This is a reminder you are listening to the Wednesday, July 30th, 2025 edition of the King's News Broom. We are taking a very short break. When we come back, we'll bring you more developments. Welcome back. Let's continue with more developments. Authorities of Guinea has reportedly banished several persons believed to be Liberians from their country over claims of refusing to accept Guinean citizenship. The banished individual is said to be from across villages and towns in Lofa County. Why on Tuesday, they told local journalists that although they had lived in Guinea for more than 2 decades, they were forced by the country authority to live and settle in Lofa County. One of the returnees, named Emmanuel Johnson, disclosed several other people are being compared to leave the country after establishing strong roots, including own farms and businesses. It noted that those being expelled are Liberians who fled to Guinea in 2002 during Liberia's civil conflict.
They will be aware of it. They will try to find out why these people have been deported. Well, the way I'm sitting here, really, I'm not feeling fine. But the way I left, it was very bad, and I came in a deplorable condition. I'm happy. I'm a call to the Liberian government. It's only we want to see UHR for our problem to be forward. The problem I'm telling you is that it's a protection problem. It can't be disclosed yet. You are telling this or secret something that it cannot be disclosed, but it cannot be disclosed to you. How they wanted it. If it's not poisonous, why you love? I don't love that. No, but what maybe happen? They know the reason why they choose integration, and they know the reason why they repatriate at that time. And I know my reason why I'm still sitting here waiting for them. I'm Joseph Managua. Took me to Guinea is the uprising that took place in Liberia. 2000, if I'm not mistaken, I did 2 years. Thank you. I left Liberia 2002. Yes, of course. I saw them working in our midst in Guinea. Okay, at the time this exercise was taking place, at the time I was not very committed.
As the International Maritime Organization prepares for what is believed to be a critical council election in December, Liberia permanent representative to the IMO, Ambassador Robert Bade, says Liberia needs the support of fellow IMO member states to secure its seat for another 2 term. In an interview Tuesday, Ambassador Bade reaffirmed the country's readiness to retain its seat, highlighting diplomatic achievement, regional leadership, and the strategic role of maritime governance in global trade. He described the country's re-election campaign launched in May as immensely successful, citing robust turnout from member states, ambassadors, and maritime trade stakeholders.
This year, Liberia will proudly host the 8th AMA Summit. When we went to the 7th AMA Summit in Dar es Salaam, because of the representation that we made, and because of the way we present ourselves, and the way we comport ourselves, and the way Liberia continued to demonstrate leadership at the global level, we were chosen to host the 8th AMA Summit. The 8th AMA Summit will see over 40 African countries. A summit in Liberia is going to be a very massive conference, maybe second to the OU. Ready and prepared. As you know, December this year, we will be going for election to retain our seat at council. We've launched our campaign bid in May. It was well attended. I think the DNU's took a life to Liberian people. It was attended by member states, other ambassadors, other permanent rep. I have managed, with the support of my team, to enhance our relationship with member states, individually and collectively. Sometimes you see me do these regular bilateral meetings. Liberia is very strong. Liberia is very vibrant at the IMO. And I can say to you, we are back. Our reputation is intact. Our representation is very qualitative, very, 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 very buoyant and strong. And with the help of my team, we're doing quite a fantastic job. Well, first this year, we go to re-election, retain the seat for the next 2 years. That's very important because, you see, global maritime is a very essential sector of the global sector of the world. It accounts for close to 90% of global trade and commerce. You cannot move goods and services, especially goods and supplies, anywhere around the world, goods and supplies anywhere around the world without vessels, without ship. So take, for instance, Liberia. Rice is a staple. To get the quantity of rice that you need here, you must ferry them. You must transport them in ship. To get petroleum here and goods here in your shops, you need ship. So that happens all around the world. That makes global shipping, international shipping, a very critical, vital, important, significant.
Meanwhile, Ambassador Father further disclosed that Liberia is expected to host International Maritime Organization Council Regional Summit, which, according to him, will bring together over 40 African nations from September 30 to October 4, 2025.
We went to the South Amazon Summit in Dar es Salaam because of the representation that we made, and because of the way we present ourselves and the way we comport ourselves and the way Liberia continued to demonstrate leadership at the global level. We were chosen to host the 8th AMA Summit. The 8th AMA Summit will see over 40 African countries. A summit in Liberia is going to be a very massive conference, maybe second to the OU conference in 1979. 40 countries coming here. What we're going to do, discuss the future of maritime as it relates to Africa. How can we harness our potential collectively as a continent? How can we convert our water resources into economic benefits for our peoples in Africa? How can we provide jobs through our water resources, the blessing, the endowment of the water, the sea, the ocean, the riverbeds, the lakes? How can we mobilize investment in the sector? How can we begin to transform our blue economy to economic blessings for our people? So the conference is going to be held from the 30th of September to the 4th of October. We will be honored to have President Boyka give the opening remarks. We're going to have a lot of international guests here. There will be opening remarks by the IMO Secretary General, His Excellency Arsenio Dominguez. He's going to be here. There's going to be heavy power delegation from IMO, from the EU, and other places.
And before our foreign development, the executive director of the National Rehabilitation for Drug and War-Affected Person has forwarded a couple to the West Point Magisterial Court for allegedly giving a dangerous substance identified as kush to a 19-year-old boy, which reportedly resulted to his death. Retired Colonel Augustine Namwe told reporters that through the assistance of residents, he apprehended the couple identified as Jerry Colley and Titi Cephas after they had drugged the victim identified as Freedom Jala to a popular ghetto known as Trenched Town located at the PHP. According to him, based on his security background, he was taped off and rushed to the scene and later apprehended the couple.
These are the people came to join the kush. The boy want to Trench Town to go with a friend. Then they send a kush. The boy inside house. He's in the living room and the woman said in a room. And they get about the kush and kill people. They call us parking kush. They get about the kush and they never did not make it well unconscious. They put him in the cricket, try to kill about hospital nowhere. And the boy died in the cricket when I robbed Kelly Hospital. Kelly Hospital said they refused the boy. So we get out with the boy because the boy would have died. So they brought the boy now. Then the other man called Ras Kama said, "I'll go in town." So Ras Kama went there now and called a group. I had to grab all of them and they invited me. I said, "I'll carry them to the police." There's a 19 years old boy. Bianco called a play Trench Town. And these guys need to be prosecuted. They need to be prosecuted. So they will call the police. CID from the depot, the CID commander moved from 2 depot base and moved in Australia and seized the bereaved, the woman, she naked herself. The angry mom, angry cry, jump on her, the angry cry, jump on and hold her, take her to the police station. Police have all the evidence. Yeah, they are mental. And I told the police we have to prosecute them. I brought them to the court today. They are letting them on the Trench Town. Now the one judge cartel, one big judge cartel, and the day when we look at them, Bianco in that terrain, say no to drugs because the drug destroying the life of the children. It's not drug that person that giving the children, a person, and it's not drug. Drug is not good for the public because there's drugs threat. It is not a small threat. But I appeal to the government to get the military involved or get the AFF veteran involved. Because the AFF veteran, they are telecom people who can move them themselves to stop the drugs.
Retired Colonel Augustine Namwe there speaking. And now, away from home, U.S. singer Ciara has become one of the first public figures to be granted citizenship of Benin under a new law offering nationality to the descendants of slaves. In an Instagram post, the Grammy Award winner said she was honored, adding, "Thank you, Benin, for opening your arms and your heart to me." The citizenship scheme is part of an initiative by the Sumo West African country to build ties with the African diaspora and boost cultural tourism. Ciara, known for R&B and pop hits such as Goodies and One and Two Step, officially became a citizen at a ceremony in the city of Cotonou. And that's where police in Angola say 4 people have been killed and 500 have been arrested after a demonstration in the country's capital. What began a 3 day strike by taxi drivers against rising petroleum prices has escalated into one of the most widespread and destructive wave of protests the country has seen in recent years. Thousands of people joined the demonstration in the local on Monday that saw roads blocked, shop looted, cars destroyed, as well as clashes between demonstrators and police. Since Monday night, there have been reports of fire guns in parts of the city. Well, this is how we go home on today's edition of the news program. But before we take leave of you, here are top stories we closed it for them. Information Minister Jeremy Kipia warns citizens against ungodly acts and alcohol drinking during today's National Fasting and Praying Day. Says the day must be used to reflect and pray for the nation. Several tricyclists and motorcyclists across Monserrato backed a protest of dozens of commercial drivers against alleged police unnecessary ticketing and government 25 years deal with Liberia traffic management. Motorcyclist and Transcyclist Union chairperson Ansu Zize accuses police officer of harassment. Authorities of Guinea reported banished scores of Liberians for alleged refusal to accept Guinean citizenship. And away from home, U.S. single Ciara has become one of the first public figures to be granted citizenship of Benin under a new law offering nationality to descendants of slaves. Police in Angola said 4 people have been killed and 500 been arrested after demonstration in the country's capital. There's no like to say many thanks to our reporters, editors for making today's news presentation a success. Sam Andrews was here with the news bulletin. Jenny Pessiman, Sarah Control, and ably coordinated the sound. Stephen Compton, thanks for listening and watching.